Hey, all you yuckers and yummers out there. My name's Courtney.
And I'm Carlito.
And if you enjoy listening to Newlyweds Argue, then this podcast is for you.
Well, more specifically, we'll be discussing movies, books, or certain comics that one enjoys and tries to introduce the other to it.
And then find out the verdict of whether they yuck it or yum it.
You can listen to us currently on Anchor.fm and Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hope you have fun listening to our podcast, Don't Yuck My Yum.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Don't Yuck My Yum, the podcast where my wife and I make each other watch certain things and we decide whether we yuck it or yum it. I'm your host, Carlito Gilchrist, and with me, as always, is the co-host...
Courtney Gilchrist.
Yes, I'm just going to let you say your name from now on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can say your own name. It's fine.
Yes, I can.
I give you permission.
Okay.
How's it going?
It's going. We have a lot to do this week, don't we?
I feel like we do, yeah.
I feel like we do.
I feel like there's a lot going on always, and I just don't ever want to do anything. That's like the thing about being... Everyone says, like, that's the thing about being an adult. I'm like, that's the thing about being a person. Like, when you're younger and it's like, I got so much stuff to do. It's like, I don't want to do it. You do the same thing as an adult.
Yeah.
It's just a lot more stuff is more boring, I would say. Like, it's like, all right, I gotta fill out this paper, and I gotta turn it into the thing for the dog until I can get the insurance. And
I know.
I gotta go to the bank and do the thing, get the paper, and
Well,
fill that
I think that's
out.
probably why... That's why adults love vacation so much.
Right, they don't have to do any of that.
They don't have to do any of that.
Right.
So if this world would just let us...
We should take a vacation.
We need one.
We should go to Antarctica.
That's kind of cold.
Yeah. No, we could find a warm spot there.
You know
like
what I
towards the
would
edge.
do? What I would do? Maybe not Antarctica, but Alaska.
Alaska, yes.
Yeah.
I would totally go to Alaska.
I would do like an Alaskan cruise.
Mm-hmm. I always heard Alaskan cruises are a good time.
Yeah, I heard they're very pretty.
Yeah.
And I don't know what are the odds that you could see Northern Lights. I don't know when they show up or how that all works, but that would be really cool to see.
Usually at night is when they show up.
Yeah, but when is it where Alaska's like... Is it during the summer? They like have daylight until like 11 p.m. and if it's in the winter, it's like dark all the time.
I think so, yeah. It's something like that.
Something crazy like that.
They almost have like... They have like 24 hours of like daylight.
It's crazy.
It never gets dark. Yeah. There's like a movie where it's funny. They point that out. It's called... I think the movie's actually called Insomnia.
Ooh.
It's a Christopher Nolan movie. And Al Pacino's character, he's like a detective and he's sent to like work this case in Alaska. But he has insomnia. And he like gets there and he's just like, all right, let's do this. Let's go. What leads do we have? And they're like, well, it's 11 o'clock at night. We should go to bed. And he's like, oh, really? And it's like daylight out. He's like, oh. So, of course, he doesn't sleep, and, like, that's the whole thing of the movie.
I'm sure people who live in Alaska have, like, the best blackout curtains.
Oh, yeah.
They're probably all over the house.
Probably.
You'd have to.
Oh, you'd have to, yeah. Because it's, like, I don't know if your brain could shut off. Like,
I know.
When you see daylight, it's like your brain's just like, all right, it's time to be up.
Yeah, you're like, oh, but it's not nighttime.
Right. And it's like, no, you gotta be up.
And then Alaska's like, it's never nighttime.
Right. Except when it is nighttime all the time.
Yeah. That would really be horrible, actually.
I think I would prefer being nighttime all the time. I like nighttime.
No.
I like it when it's dark out.
Not all the time.
Not all the time. Maybe for like a week. And then I'd be like, all right, can I have some sunlight?
No. We need sunlight as humans.
I know. That's crazy that people live there.
Yeah. And then you never see sunsets or sunrise.
That's all right.
No, it's not.
I mean, I never see a sunrise. I see sunsets.
Yeah, that's not true. You used to see sunrises.
For my job, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we probably will. Once we start flying again, we'll probably see some sunrises and hear. Yeah, which we got training this week.
That's right.
Wish us luck.
It's just a day. It's going to be so easy.
It's just going to be long.
It's just going to be a really long day.
Yeah.
It's just going to take a while. But I think it'll be fine.
I think, yeah. We're going to Denver, so we'll see how that goes.
Where it's going to be cold, I guess.
I know it's cold. I just looked at the weather and it says it's going to be snowing tomorrow. Like, what is that?
I don't know. That's Denver.
Like,
Denver doesn't know when it needs to be good weather. Is it just tomorrow?
It looks like it's like raining right now, and then it's going to be raining all day, all night, and then it's going to start snowing tomorrow morning at like 2 in the morning. Or no, more like midnight. And then, yeah, all Wednesday is supposed to be snowing. And then it warms up on Wednesday. It looks like it'll be, like, cloudy. Hope you're all happy about this.
I hope you're enjoying the weather
report for Denver.
How do we transition? I don't think we have a good one today.
I know. Sometimes you can catch up and sometimes not so much.
Yeah. It's usually just like, all right, what are we talking about?
Well, that was pretty boring, but you know what wasn't boring?
What?
Goodfellas, which is what we're talking about.
I'm surprised to hear you say that
it wasn't
you actually it wasn't boring. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So we're talking about Goodfellas, as you can see by the title. And this is a movie that I'm sure a lot of people have seen it. And if you haven't, I'm going to say it again. Why haven't you? But I understand if you haven't, because it is like 40 years old at this point. So if it doesn't fall under your radar.
It's not that old. It came out in 1990.
You're right. It's 30 years old.
Yeah.
I lose track of time. I live in Alaska.
Yeah. Your mind's in Alaska.
Yeah. Sorry. It's 30 years old, which is still like, wow, that still sounds like it's old. That's crazy.
I know. Hey, that's only 2 years older than me.
That's true. Yeah. But just like a film in general.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I mean, at least you're still younger than Goodfellas, babe. You'll always be younger than Goodfellas.
I'll always be younger than Goodfellas.
Yeah.
So must be.
So you can always say that.
A testament.
Yeah. So you can always just be like, hey, Emily, at least it ain't as old as this old movie.
Yeah, but at least I'm younger than Goodfellas.
Right.
That'll be my comeback.
I'm just going to say, like, at least I'm younger than Roman Holiday.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah,
a lot of us
a lot of people are. Probably a lot of people that exist now are. Except, like, our grandparents.
That's true.
Oh, I remember when Roman Holiday came out. I was 6 years old.
Audrey, she was new.
Some people were like, I was 40. It's like, how are you still alive?
There's no way.
There's probably.
This is probably that one person out there.
The 112-year-old Asian man. It's usually someone who's Asian. For some reason they can live to be like 115 sometimes.
I wonder if it's just because maybe they eat well or they're smaller or
probably they don't overeat. They're probably healthier. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they have chopsticks. Because chopsticks keep you from overeating.
Yeah. Well, also they do eat a lot of rice, and rice expands in your stomach. Mm-hmm. So if you fill up on rice, then it's like
then you're fine.
I'm done.
There you go. That's the key. Just eat rice.
Just eat rice.
Yeah. Anyway, Goodfellas.
Yeah.
They don't. Well, that kind of fits into the thing because like we did before we started watching, I was like, I feel like we should be eating like Italian food, and we were eating. What did we make?
That night?
Yeah.
Is that when we made the...
Was it the pork to katsu?
Was that it?
I think so.
Was it?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah, we breaded some...
So I was like, this doesn't fit. Oh, well.
Yeah, we breaded some pork with...
Mm-hmm.
It was panko breadcrumbs.
It was good.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, man.
But we were trying to be a little healthier, yeah. So we baked it. Which was honestly a lot
easier.
It is easier,
because, like, I feel like if you want to at least, like, give it a quick fry just for like the breadcrumbs.
Probably the color, yeah.
Yeah, you could do that. Makes it crunchier. Yeah. You could do that. It's not. I mean, I don't care either way, so it's not necessary. But I'd say like a quick fry doesn't. That's not bad.
Maybe if you did it in maybe like coconut oil, maybe that would be a little healthier.
Maybe wouldn't it taste like coconut though? I guess that's okay. I don't know.
Not really. I mean, Kelsey and I made some popcorn with coconut oil on the stove.
Kelsey, your sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You all should know.
Sometimes it's someone's first podcast.
This is
so you gotta tell them who they are.
Kelsey, my sister, my twin sister, we made she's pregnant, so she can't have microwave popcorn because apparently, I'm learning all these things because she's pregnant, what pregnant people can eat and not eat. But apparently in the lining of the bag of popcorn, when it gets heated up from the microwave, like something in that lining with the chemicals, they can't eat.
You can't eat that.
Can't eat that. Bad for the baby.
Right.
So we made stovetop popcorn for the first time, and we used coconut oil.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't taste like...
out well?
Yeah, it tasted really good. It didn't taste like coconut oil at all. It just was like, salty and good.
Mm.
So...
Drink some water.
I know. Stay hydrated.
Yeah. I think I need to drink more water. Like, in general.
I'm sure we all do.
I feel more energized today already that I've drank more water than I have in the last, 2 weeks.
You should drink more water and less coffee.
Probably.
Yeah.
You're probably right.
You should limit yourself to 1 cup a day.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think you should have more than a cup a day.
Just one. I mean, I was doing that for a while. That would be a good idea.
Yeah.
I thought about getting... There's like this other stuff you can get. It's called mud.
Mud?
Yeah. I see advertisements. It's like mixed with all this like natural stuff or whatever, but it's like gives you more energy than coffee. Thought about trying it.
More energy than coffee? Like more caffeine?
Not more caffeine. No, like more natural energy. Like, because caffeine, like, it gives you energy, but you crash.
Yeah.
But, like, stuff, like, if you eat more fruit, like, it's more sustaining. Like, you don't get, like, a high. You don't get, like, like, a crazy energy, but you have enough that kind of sustains throughout, like, a longer period of time than, say, like, coffee. That's what we should do.
So they want you to eat mud.
It's not mud, but that's what they call it. I mean, if mud did do that, that'd be a great experiment, wouldn't it, now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, Goodfellas.
I feel like today we're just kind of wanting to just talk about whatever.
Yeah.
And then...
Well, we've been doing, like, 5 podcasts in a row because, like, we had to catch up, and now we're, like, trying to get ahead because we're going to be busy this week, so...
Has it been 5?
It's been... What did we do? We did... Because after we did Pirates, I feel like we took a week off, and then we did Rebel Without a Cause, Red Dawn, West Side Story, and now we're doing Goodfellas.
Oh, so 4.
It's like 4. So this is the 4th one we've done in a matter of a week, and I feel like we're burnt out.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Because it was like we had to catch up because we didn't like Rebel Without a Cause. We made that a Yuckathon. And we went to Shannon's, and then we did Pirates with her, and we kind of just interjected that episode because we were like, be in the episode, but what we're going to talk about.
It was kind of an extra, wasn't it?
It was an extra one. And since we're going to be busy this week, it's like, well, might as well do this one now. So then we can wait till next Friday and we can take a bit of a break from this.
Yeah. So moral of the story is we're real people. And we have things to do. And, not every episode's going to be a knock out of the park.
There's some people that do like 3 podcasts a week. Like they have 3 separate
3 different
podcasts.
ones?
Yeah. They'll do like 3 separate podcasts a week.
Well, that's probably fine if you maybe do it like once a day, I guess.
Yeah. Or if you do it professionally, that's all you do.
Yeah, that's true. That's your job. So
besides like doing all the paperwork and the documents for the bank and the insurance company. And you gotta just go
adulting, as we all know.
And then you get a thing in the mail. And it's
at least we're not worrying about a house or babies.
Mm-mm.
We're okay with that right now.
Yeah, we're
one
good.
less thing to worry about.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. Goodfellas.
Goodfellas. We're doing it. We can do this.
So, babe, we watched Goodfellas, and I've seen this quite a few times. I'm not gonna give the plot. I want you to explain the plot without looking on IMDb. I want you to explain the plot from your memory.
So, Goodfellas is mainly circled around Henry Hill. Mm-hmm. That's his name, right? Yes. And it pretty much starts us off at the beginning when he's like a young kid. And he works at like it's Polly's store, right?
Yeah, it's like a cab stand is what they call it.
Yeah, a cab stand. So like people would drive up and he would valet cars and stuff like that. But he gets introduced to the mob life, the gangster life.
Yeah, because the cab stand's run by the mob, and then that's kind of his little foot in the door to that life.
Yeah, because they lived like right across the street of this cab stand.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he gets introduced to the gangster life, and he then proceeds to narrate his life from that first moment of when he got introduced to that world. And then as he has grown, his narrations would continue about what happens to him and who he meets and what he gets into, all the way up until he's in the witness protection program.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Well, y'all should... I think most people have seen this. Most men, anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
I think this is definitely one of those movies that is almost a rite of passage for men.
It's very much like the movie, the story itself. I feel like because this movie made by a different person just could have been like oh, it's Henry Hill and he did this and he did that. But it kind of gives you like a more, a wider like vision of the gangster life, you know, like because he talks about all of like this and how this works and everything, and it kind of glamorizes all that stuff, but then it also shows like this is the bad stuff, you know. So it's not just about Henry Hill, it's about like the gangster life in general. And I'd say like whenever people cite like, oh, good gangster movies, like if you wanted to like, I've never watched a gangster movie, where should I start? Most people would say Goodfellas. Goodfellas is a good intro to all that.
I could see that. I could see it as a good intro to that world and what that's about, because he's pretty much like that insider giving the scoop of what this life's about and why things are the way they are and what things mean. And yeah, so which I think it sounded like Scorsese and the author of the book that this movie is based off of, Wise Guys.
Nicholas Pileggi. He wrote Wise Guy, yeah.
It sounds like the interviews between them and, Scorsese and then the real Henry Hill.
Right.
Like, they pretty much just took those interviews and all those narrations are pretty much his words, exactly. And pretty much Ray Liotta just had to copy and say
really?
them. Yeah, for the most part.
That's cool.
Just they're probably just slightly altered, but for the most part, that was his words.
They said like, because Scorsese said he wanted, because he grew up around these kind of guys in this life, so I think he was very dedicated to like making it as accurate as possible, like the portrayal of like all of these characters in this whole world and everything. So he was very authentic. So like the fact that they got the real Henry Hill, which of course was probably got through Nicholas Pileggi, who wrote the book. Yeah. So it was like, it made it very authentic that way. Well, babe, what would you say of the Yuck and the Yum? What are you gonna give it?
I mean, I'm gonna give it a yum, because
really,
okay, listen. It's a good movie. I'm yumming the movie. Okay. The movie itself, I think it was filmed well. I think the actors did great. Like, I think it's not a boring movie. It's definitely fast-paced, and, you know...
You get a lot of perspectives.
Yeah,
like... You even get some from his wife.
Yeah, I think they made a great movie. Obviously, the content is, like these people, it's like, oh, these people are so bad. Yeah. They're horrible people.
Which, starting off, you're kind of like, oh, it's not that bad. They're, like, robbing people and stuff. I mean, which is bad, but a lot of the times that the people they're robbing are in on the take. Yeah. Like, it's like they plan to, like, okay, we're going to rob this truck. They have this in it. Like, they have, like, cigarettes in it, and, you know, we're going to meet the driver, and he's going to act like, oh, someone stole my truck, like, made me, you know? And then he'll get a take of that later, and then they'll take the truck back, and then they'll start selling the cigarettes out on the streets, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So, like, at first, you're like, oh, these guys aren't too bad, but then slowly but surely, it shows you, like, the darker side of all this, you know? At first, it's just like, yeah, we just take what we wanted, and we lived the great life, and everyone loved us, and it was fine. Like, it was no big deal. And then, like, a few people start getting killed, and you have to start burying bodies, and then you're like, ooh.
Especially Joe Pesci's character, Tommy.
Tommy's
Gosh, that
crazy.
Guy was psycho.
Tommy's a psycho.
He's killing people for no good reason. Like, stop it. You're causing trouble.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, obviously, like, that leads to his downfall.
His demise.
Yeah. Because it starts off with, like, Henry just, like, as a kid, and, like, you start seeing dark things, like towards the beginning, like especially when his bosses like threaten his mailman.
Yeah, because the mailman is just doing his job, and he delivered a letter from his school
saying he hasn't
been to school in a month, so he gets, you know, pounded on by his dad, and so
you think you're smart? You think you're smart, guy? It's beating the crap out of him. Yeah. Yes, got this letter from school. Says he hasn't been there months and months, and just smacks him.
Crazy.
That's how you discipline your kids back then.
Yeah.
Not everybody, but he did.
In that, yeah. Yeah. So then they like threaten the mailman and say, "You don't deliver anything from the school to this guy's house."
You recognize this kid,
and then they don't. They end up don't getting mail at all because the mailman's too scared to deliver any mail.
What were they gonna do? Put him in the.
The oven.
Put him in the pizza oven. if you have one more letter from that kid's school goes to his house, in the oven you're gonna go head first. And they like try to stick his head in the pizza oven.
So violent.
I know. They don't mess around.
Jeez.
I mean, they get their point across quick.
Yeah.
But like that's kind of like there. And then the one guy who's like shot on the street, and young Henry Hill tries to help him. And,
tries to stop the bleeding.
Yeah. And then his boss gets all mad. And he's like, "Yeah, you're a real jerk.
What are you doing?" He's like, "You're wasting 6 perfectly good."
Yeah, waste 8 aprons on this guy. You have to toughen this kid up. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know. So, like little things like that, but for the most part, it is mostly just like stealing and everything, and then you get introduced. Yeah, you get introduced to the characters. One part that I enjoyed of you watching was when young Henry gets pinched for the first time.
Oh yeah.
Which getting pinched is like slang for
getting arrested.
Getting arrested, yeah. Like because he was, like I said, with the cigarette things, he was helping sell the cigarettes out of the truck. Mm-hmm. And I think he was at like a mill. Him and Tommy, young version of Tommy, they were selling some of the cigarettes to guys at the mill on their break. And then looked like 2 detectives just came up and just took him away and arrested him. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, because he's like, "It's okay, it's fine, it's fine."
Yeah.
Like, damn it.
Yeah, I know. He keeps saying like, "It's fine." Like he's just
they're
like,
not in it, dude. Like you're doing something illegal.
Right. So then what happens?
So yeah, he gets arrested and he goes to court, and then I guess he gets free, but does he get a warning or something? Or
probably because they show his lawyer, who's like an obviously an Italian looking guy. Yeah. So obviously like that guy's like getting paid from the mob and probably the judges too to let him go.
Oh, okay.
And, yeah, because they do say multiple, like they had cops in their part, they had judges, everyone was on the take.
Right.
So it was like, yeah, he got pinched, but it was gonna be fine because everyone was paid off. He was just gonna kind of get don't do that again, but wink, wink, it's okay, you know.
Yeah.
So then he goes out of the room, and then who's all there?
They're all there.
All the older mob guys.
All the mob guys. They're like, "Hey, you got pinched.
Hey, you broke your cherry." That's what he says.
Oh, yeah.
So when he gets free, they're all like, "Hey, good job. Woo!"
Yeah, they're like all there congratulating him for getting arrested.
Yeah. Well, because they know, like, that's the life. And I feel like that's probably a moment that makes it or breaks it. It's like, hey, this is what's going to happen if you want to keep pursuing this career, this lifestyle. Yeah, it's like this is what it's gonna be a lot of. So the fact that he was like, hey, and then he didn't say anything,
which apparently that's what he was kind of known for. The real Henry Hill was being calm and cool under pressure and not really just a silent observer and not really like saying too much, which is kind of funny because he ends up ratting them all out.
He rats them all out. I know. I had to save his own butt.
Yeah.
I think, did you see anything of, did Henry Hill ever actually kill anybody? Because the movie doesn't portray that he did.
I didn't see anything
we don't
speculate that,
and
no.
He may not. He may have and never said anything. But, yeah, the movie portrays as, he doesn't kill anybody. Yeah. He's not, like, a crazy psycho like Tommy is.
Tommy's wacko.
Yeah.
Well, apparently he still has nightmares from him and Tommy and Jimmy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
From all the stuff they had to get into?
Well, specifically with...
Billy Bats?
Yeah, with Billy Bats.
Oh,
he still has nightmares about that.
Gee, that was messed up. You want to skip to that, or do you want to...
I hated that. Okay, the movie starts off right off the bat, right? Mm-hmm. Like, before we even see him young.
It's like a good little intro of, showing, this is... what you're gonna see.
Yeah, this is what movie. You're getting into. It was right off the bat. They kill this guy, Billy Bats, at the bar because Bats was running his mouth and insulting Tommy about something being a shoe shiner. Or
he used to be a shoe shine boy.
Or something.
Go home and get your shine box.
Yeah. And then, Tommy blows off. Blows up.
Yeah. He gets angry.
He whacks the guy. Yep.
That's the correct term.
That's the
That's good. You're speaking like a mobster now.
Yeah, right?
Good. This is initiation. She just doesn't know. Yeah.
He whacks the guy, and then they put him in Henry's trunk of his car, and then, later we see this is after they had dinner with Tommy's mom, But they're driving, you hear, like, pounding, and he thinks, like, oh, did I run something over? Like, I didn't hit anything. And the guy's, like, alive.
Right.
After being, like, shot. No. First, he was just beaten up.
Yeah, they just beat the crap out
They
of him.
beat the living tar out of him.
Because Tommy, like, pistol whips him in the face, and then Jimmy's, like, kicking him in the side. And so I don't know why they didn't think he was dead, but they must have thought they just killed him from beating him to death, which you can do. You can beat someone to death. So they probably thought
they did that. And then, they realized he's alive. And then Tommy has this big old kitchen butcher knife
from his mom's house.
No,
Tommy.
Stop
no, Tommy. And just, he's still alive.
And just stabbing it. I hate
you hear the sound?
I hate
the
stabbing. I hate it.
And then Jimmy just
Jimmy's
unloads his gun on him.
Shooting. I'm like, okay, I think we got him. Yeah. I think he's dead.
I just want to make sure.
Like, jeesh.
And then what does Henry Hill say in his narration?
I don't remember.
For as far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. Yeah. Boom, the movie starts.
As far back as... That's, like, apparently a very memorable line.
Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, that's a perfect setup for the movie.
Yeah, as far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Seeing him, like, witnessing this horrible thing in the life that he's in. And then he's just like, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Like, why? Why? I don't understand why anybody would want that. I mean, I guess this movie is pretty much explaining why.
Yeah.
But...
Well, you see it from a kid's perspective. Like, he doesn't look at it as far as... You know, like, oh, they're murdering people and stuff. Like, it's not like that's not what intrigues him. It's just like, oh, they get to do whatever they want. They stay up all night playing cards.
They were treated like royalty or whatever.
Exactly.
Given the royal treatments to everything.
Because you get, like, all the... Like, even when he was a kid, like, how things started to, like, change for his family. Like, the part where he says, like, one day... All these kids from the neighborhood, they carried my mom's groceries all the way home from the store. And you know why?
Respect.
It was out of respect. Yeah. So, like, gradually, it's like you kind of see, okay, this is really cool. Like, this life, like, he's a part of, and I could see why he enjoys it.
It's very attractive to him.
Yeah. And, of course, he meets a girl. We'll talk about her because she's a big part of the story.
Yeah.
Karen.
Well, like, the way we meet her is Joe Pesci's character, Tommy, wanted to go
What's
on...
Tommy's last name? Tommy DeVito. Okay. I didn't know his last name.
Yeah. He wanted to go on this date with this Jewish girl.
Yeah.
But she wouldn't go on a date or be alone with Italians.
She was prejudiced against Italians.
But yeah, he's
believe
still...
that in this day and age. Prejudice against Italians. Like, what's the world coming to?
So he pretty much roped in Henry, like, hey, come on this double date with me.
She's got a friend.
And that's Karen.
Mm-hmm.
And then... Obviously, the date didn't go too great because Henry had somewhere to be. He really wasn't paying much attention at all.
He had to meet Tootie.
And, yeah.
I just wanted to say real quick, like, when I love at the beginning when he's, like, starting to give his narration and Tootie comes out and you just hear him go, Tootie. Like, just kind of thinking fondly back on, like, oh, that's who got me into the life, Tootie. Anyway, you were saying.
Yeah. And so then... They were supposed to go on a second date. He doesn't show.
Mm-hmm.
And she was not happy about that.
No, she made Tommy go look for him.
Yeah, she made Tommy go look for him, drive up to him, and she goes off on him. And she's like, who do you think you are standing me up?
Frankie, what do you think you are, Frankie Valli, or some big shot? Yeah.
Yeah, and so he was kind of impressed by that.
Which a part of me, I'm like, I'm trying to imagine Tommy... letting himself be ordered around by Karen. She must have been mad.
Well, and clearly.
Probably the girl he was trying to get with was probably like, can you do it? You know what I mean? Like, probably pressuring him. So he was probably like, oh, okay. So, yeah, I can't imagine
Or he just wanted to see what she would do. Maybe he thought this would be hilarious.
Like, oh, this will be funny. Yeah, sure, I'll drive you to see her. I know exactly where Henry's at.
That's where I more thought. It's like... yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take you to him.
But yeah, she comes out and she's like yelling at him in the street. He's just like, hey, God, think she's like screaming at me. But man, she looked good. She had these great eyes, just like Liz Taylor.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, seeing that fire in her, that's what made him go like, oh.
Yeah, he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, not realizing what was there. Because I think he may have thought she was attractive before, but I think just he had to like be somewhere and he was roped into it, so he wasn't in the right headspace to kind of, want to actually date her.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I think it's so great when he sees that fire in her, and then he kind of talks his way into calms her down.
Yeah, he's like,
hey, what did you say? I thought it was next Friday. What was I supposed to do? You look bored. You wouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
Come on, let me make it up to you. And then she kind of comes around. She's like, all right, gonna cost you.
She's like, I'll think about it.
Yeah, I'll think about it. Gonna cost you, Hill.
Yeah.
Which I said, I could, in a different world, I could see that being us.
He could see me coming out and yelling at you.
Say if we went on a first date and then I blew you off for the second date, I could totally see you doing that.
No.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, I could see it.
No.
You have some nerve
You
standing
got
me
some
up.
nerve. I honestly couldn't picture that for myself, but I guess if you could, I'd have to be really angry. You must have made me think something really good was going on, and then you just upped and
That's
dropped
probably what
me.
it'd be then, yeah.
And then I'd be like, what the heck?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But no, I probably, or really, what would happen is I just been like, well, he's probably the loser anyway if he's just gonna drop me like that.
That's true. You might have just done that.
I probably would have just done that.
Yeah.
I don't think I couldn't picture myself yelling at you
in the street in front of all my friends.
In front of everybody.
And I'm just like, whoa, hey, it's all right.
No, I don't. Anybody who knows me, Ashley, if you're listening, I think you could attest. You probably be like, no, Courtney couldn't do that.
We need to have Ashley on here.
No, yeah, we do.
Yeah, we'll have to get her to fly. We'll have to fly to her.
Yeah.
Either way, we'll have to get her on.
Yeah, we're gonna go to North Carolina.
We'll have her pick the movie.
Yeah.
I think that's something. I think Shannon, that was good, though, because we had already watched Pirates, but I think it'd be good for, if we have guests on,
to
pick the movie for us to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if we've already seen it, cool. If not, that's fine, too.
Yeah.
But, so we get introduced to Karen.
Yeah, and then I feel bad for her.
Oh, I know. She really...
I think she was a nice girl.
She is. She's a great
I thought
person.
she was, a nice girl, and then she just got roped into, this double date, and then she was attracted to him and liked him.
Yeah.
And, and then, obviously, things go, they get married, they have kids and all this stuff, but with who he is...
It's gonna be beautiful. Right.
I'm
sorry.
He's gonna quote this whole movie.
I love it so much. But yeah, they get married.
Yeah, but because of his lifestyle, she obviously gets roped into it as well. But then he has to go and cheat on her and all this stuff.
Yeah.
That makes her crazy.
Well, what really reels her in? Because she doesn't know what he does.
Yeah.
For a while, but then what's the moment where it's when she realizes what he
well,
does, or gets an idea, idea.
I think it's her neighbor.
Yeah.
Gets fresh with her. Mm-hmm. Gets handsy with her.
While Henry's dating her.
Yeah.
They're not all together. It's just Henry's somewhere else, which we'll talk about that scene because it's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was the neighbor's name?
I don't remember. Bruce or something.
Maybe Bruce. Yeah.
And he not a nice dude. Gets all handsy with Karen
in a car
and pushes her out of a moving car, which she's okay. But then she calls Henry crying, and he comes and gets her, takes her home.
This is before
she must have. Yeah, she found a phone booth.
So this is in 1960 something or 19 something. Yeah, it's 1960s.
I think it's the 60s,
yeah.
And so he takes her home, and he's like, "Okay, go inside and get cleaned up," and then he goes across the street to the dude that did it.
Oh, it was
and
great.
Whacks him with a gun.
Yeah, pistol whip. Yeah. Well, you thought he was gonna kill him.
I was like, oh, he's gonna die. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Oh, he's gonna shoot him right there in front of these people.
No, I think what he did was better because no one called the cops on him. They were too scared of him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, good, because he didn't kill the guy. But yeah, and he's like, if you touch her again, you're dead.
He says, I swear on my mother, if you touch her again, you're dead. And then he hits him one more time.
Yeah.
And then the other guys are like, don't shoot.
Yeah, don't shoot.
Yeah.
Because he points it at him.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes to Karen's narration because he comes back and then gives her the bloody gun to hide.
Yeah, hide this. You all right?
Yeah, hide this. And then she's like, anybody whose boyfriend handed her a bloody gun would be freaked out, scared. But not her. It turned her on.
Yep. She liked it.
She was
like, oh, this is cool. Yep.
And
so they get married.
And so they get married. The two crazies.
Mm-hmm. So they get married, and then she gets, more wrapped up into the life, and then but she kind of gives her impression at first, just like, oh, it just didn't seem like that big a deal.
Well,
like,
yeah, she was just with the wives a lot.
They
and
would always go on vacations together.
like everybody was always together.
Yeah, so it felt normal.
Yeah,
it's just kind of like they didn't know like, well, they didn't really talk about like what the guys had to do when they were out and everything. No. Mm-mm. So we talked about the Billy Bat scene. I guess we could talk about Maury.
Oh, he's the fool.
Yeah. Who's Maury?
He's the guy with the toupee business.
Yeah.
Well, which is funny because Scorsese, he actually, Maury's commercial.
Yeah.
Well, apparently he
tested against hurricane winds.
He asked the guy, like, he saw a real commercial that was just like that.
Oh, so
and then he asked this person who made that commercial to do that.
Oh, really?
For this character so that it looked legit as like a real commercial.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So the guy, a real person, like who made those kind of commercials.
He directed the commercial.
He directed that commercial, yeah.
What kind of world would you be in if like Scorsese came up to you and was like, "Hey, I liked your commercial about your hair pieces. Can you direct one for my movie?"
Yeah.
Like, what? What? Like you're just some small. You just have like these wigs, like you're small town businessman, or like maybe New Jersey probably, and then just out of nowhere, Scorsese's like, "Hey, can you want to direct something for my movie?" Like, okay,
yeah,
sure, Mr. Scorsese. I just thought that'd be cool.
Yeah,
but you kind of get the first instance of like how crazy Jimmy is because you learn that like Maury and Jimmy kind of have like a weird like tete-a-tete, I'd say.
Yeah,
did I say that right?
Yeah,
tete-a-tete. Yeah, so it's like Maury obviously borrowed money from Jimmy for the commercial. And then Henry's like trying to like talk to Maury, like, "Hey, just pay Jimmy. You're gonna try to rip off Jimmy Conway? Pay him." And then Jimmy comes up behind him, who we should say Jimmy's Robert De Niro.
Right.
Comes up behind him and tries to strangle him with the phone cord.
Yeah.
Remember that money for the commercial? And then his hairpiece falls off.
Yeah, like apparently hurricane winds couldn't take it off.
No, but Jimmy Conway can.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else did you like about it, babe? What did you enjoy about it? What? Because just talking about a review for The Godfather. You don't like the senseless violence.
I don't like the senseless violence. This had a lot of profanity, which I didn't.
It's one of the top movies to have the most profanity, I think, ever.
I think it's like 15 on the list now.
That's still, I mean, compared to all the movies, that's a lot.
It's like 320 F-bombs.
Wow. I think Casino, which Scorsese made a couple years after this, is like more than that. But that's a longer movie too, so there's a lot more room for F-bombs. Mm-hmm. But yeah, a lot of F-bombs.
A lot of the bombs.
And what'd you learn about the F-bombs?
Well, half of them were from Pesci.
Half of them? Yeah.
Yeah. But, so there was, in the script, there were 70 of them. But then he allowed all the actors to kind of improvise and ad-lib, so then a lot more F-bombs came into play.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I don't like that. I don't like the senseless violence. I don't like, seeing that stuff. But I did like, just learn, like, how the movie was laid out with just kind of the progressiveness of learning about that world. And I think he was smart to have the narrations. I thought it was... Yeah, I think he just filmed it very smartly. I think Goodfellas was probably the first movie to really do the narration that way. Because it definitely, you see a lot of movies now, like gangster movies, like they do the same thing. And I think Scorsese kind of started that. That narration where it's not just like, oh, and then we went here, and then you see the scene play out. Like, it's like narrates the whole time. Like, you're seeing something play out, but then it's also, like, he's explaining the business and all that. And so it's like it adds to it, It doesn't distract you. It's, like, a part of the movie, Yeah, it doesn't distract, which is probably, I think, hard to do. I love the part where it's towards the beginning and he's kind of giving you an intro to, like, all the gangsters. Like, just, like, not main gangsters, but, like, real, this is his name, this is what he's about. Yeah, and the camera's, like, panning through the bar. So it's, like, literally as an actor or like the gangster comes on screen, he looks at the camera and he'll say something like, "Hey, what's up, guy?" Or like, "Hey, I took care of that thing for you." Yeah, like he acknowledges and like looking at the camera, like he's looking at you.
Like, he's walking around talking to him, and he's like, Freddie No-Nos, or what was the one guy, Jimmy Two-Time? He says someone who says, like,
where he says things twice.
Yeah, he got that nickname because he says everything twice. Like, I'm gonna go get the papers.
Yeah.
So there's just little funny things like that. This is the first time I watched it, noticed that actually Michael Francese actually has a character. Like, it's not him, but an actor portraying him, which Michael Francese was a real life mobster or gangster, like a Goodfella, or I think he was in the mafia. I think he was actually, but he you can actually look him up online. He like wrote a book about being in the gangster life, and he like has all these interviews where he talks about that stuff. So if you ever want to learn anything more about the gangster life, like real stuff, just look up him. He has like all these stories and everything. Like it's really cool. But yeah, so it just still like little things like that, like the camera work of like Scorsese. There's a lot of like zooms and stuff. Did you notice a lot of those?
Yeah.
I even saw like the part where De Niro's like on the phone in the phone booth, and you just see the camera just like kind of slowly zoom in. A lot of that's like Scorsese does a lot of stuff with like cameras where he like zooms in and out and like through things, and that's kind of like where a lot of that started, was like him. He started all that stuff back when he was a young filmmaker, and he kind of continued it on.
Yeah, or like the stops, like when he'd zoom, like in the beginning when Henry Hill, when he closes the trunk at the very beginning of the film, and then the camera just pauses on him.
Yeah.
And he's like, and that's when.
Yeah.
And says that. So it's a lot of like,
line.
And it's a lot of pauses like that where it just stops for like an effect kind of thing.
Yeah. That was a really good one is actually the groceries one. Because it's like, as he's saying that line about like kids helping his mom carry groceries home, young Henry Hill like explodes all these cars. So you just get this freeze frame of like at night of young Henry Hill like running from this giant explosion behind him.
Yeah, because he just doused a bunch of cars in gasoline.
Yeah. So it's like good contrast that way of just like, hey, all this respect, but all this bad stuff I had to do, Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's it's just great. I mean, it's just amazing. What else, babe? What else you guys say about it?
I don't know. Like, it definitely makes you feel things, like, because I don't like all the stuff with, like,
a lot of adultery.
The adultery stuff and, like,
that kind of
beating up on each other and yelling at each other. It's just a lot of insanity and, like, intensity.
Mm-hmm. You see it gets more and more intense. Because, it kind of just comes out of the blue, but, like, when
and then all the drug stuff.
Yeah, the drug stuff comes up later, but when he's just like, oh, Saturday night was for the wives, but Friday night were for the
girlfriends. I'm like, ugh.
And it's like, and they have girlfriends. Yep. Mm-hmm.
They're bad dudes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, they kind of cause trouble for themselves.
I think so. Yeah. I think they put themselves in situations where, of course, bad things are going to happen.
Right. Well, you want to talk about Scorsese's mom? After I pointed that out to you, like
that was cute. I do like that he incorporates his parents into his films, like his dad and his mom are both in there.
I think they're both passed now.
Yeah. But then, like, because she plays Joe Pesci's character's mom, and, after they whack that guy, they go to his mom's house for dinner. And
they go to get shovels. They kind of get trapped there for dinner because they can't say anything.
That's true. Yeah. And Scorsese, he directed his mom just by telling her they come to your house and you feed them dinner, and doesn't really tell him like, oh, well, he just killed a guy and all this, and the body's in the trunk. Yeah, so she's just like, where have you been? What have you been up to? What are you doing? And she's like, oh, Henry, you never talk. Why aren't you talking?
Which goes back to, like, what you said. Apparently, Henry Hill was very observant.
Yeah, he's a very kind of just silent watcher. He doesn't really just cool under pressure. So he probably just kept it under wraps.
That's probably one of my favorite scenes of the movies when they go to her house for dinner. Just because, I like how chill they're all being. Just like, oh, it's whatever. They're talking about the
Yeah, and Tommy's
deer.
making up this whole story. He's like, I hit a deer and his paw, and she's like, you mean his hoof? He's like, oh yeah, his hoof just got stuck in there. I just saw it off. Hack it off.
Yeah, because he just picks up his mom's kitchen knife. He's just like, Ma, I gotta borrow this, all right?
Yeah.
And then he explains, and then he's just like, hey, Mom, it's a sin if you leave it there, you know?
Yeah.
And then just like going into that, and then she shows him the painting she painted.
Yeah.
Of the
two dogs and
the guy, and then Joe Pesci's like, oh wait, I think it's him, because he thinks it looks like the guy they just thought they killed.
I know, I'm like, y'all are joking about this guy.
Oh, the beard, it's him. Oh, it's him.
Like, you guys just killed this guy, and now we're joking that he resembles the man in the painting.
Mm-hmm. But slowly through the movie, you see like how crazy Tommy is, Joe Pesci's character.
Oh, so crazy. Which, in the end, he kind of gets what he deserves because they think he's going to get made. They're all excited for him,
right.
Which, explain what being made is.
So, yeah, being made is like mob terms of like, if you, like, say if you're just like a low-run guy, like these guys, they're not mafia. They work for the mafia. Their boss, who is Paulie, is mafia. They're his crew. But in order to be a made guy, to be in the mafia, you know, you have to be 100% Italian. At least back in this day, you had to be 100% Italian. They had to track your family all the way back to the old country. So it's like this whole thing. So if you were a worthy soldier, which I think is what they called these guys, they would call them sometimes, and you know, they felt like they had what it took to like be a made guy, they would do that. And it'd be like, okay, now you're in the mafia, which actually they don't show in the movie, but I think an actual initiation would usually be like you go into like a dark room and they put a playing card in your hand. I can't remember which one, and then they light it on fire, and then they say like some words. They say like, oh, if you're dedicated to us now, like, and if you try to betray us, you'll burn like the card in your hand or something. I think there's like they cut like a blood oath or something. There's like a whole initiation ritual that they actually did when you wanted to be made into the mafia. So that's what's going to happen to Tommy. They say Tommy's going to be made. He's going to be a made guy.
Yeah, which they were all excited about because they're like, oh, if Tommy's made, it's kind of like they're in it too because
it's like our guy's in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when he goes to get made, it was an ambush and they
kind of just shoot him.
They shoot him.
Which the guy with the cane who's actually with him, that was Scorsese's dad.
It was?
Yeah, that's Scorsese's dad.
It didn't look like him.
During the execution scene, yeah.
Oh, weird.
Uh-huh. So I always thought that was crazy. I'm like, wow, Scorsese stuck his dad in the Tommy's execution scene. That's interesting.
That's weird.
Yeah. But, yeah, they kind of just kill him because eventually the mob finds out that he killed Billy Batts.
Yeah, they found out.
They think he did. Which he did. He did. I don't know if they know for sure. That's kind of like how it kind of goes in the mafia, though. It's like you're never really for sure if they did this unless they confess it. Like, they're not detectives. They're not going to, like...
Yeah.
They just kind of suspect it's you. And even if they suspect, you're
going to... Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was like that plus a whole lot of other things is what Henry says in his narration.
Yeah, like he just caused too much trouble.
He was too much trouble. He had to go. Yeah. Which, I mean... is understandable.
Well, yeah, because he killed that kid.
Spider, yeah.
Yeah, like, he was, like, not a bus boy, but he was there, like, just serving them drinks and stuff.
Yeah, he was, like, their personal bartender while they played cards.
Yeah.
Probably just some kid trying to, like, get into the...
Well, probably it was, like, how Henry was when he's working at the cab.
Exactly.
Yeah, then, yeah.
So, Tommy feels slighted that, like, Spider didn't hear him, that he wanted a drink. So the first time he just shoots Spider in the foot.
Yeah.
And then the next time, Tommy's giving a bunch of grief about the cast on his foot, and Spider tells him to go F himself. And then everyone's just like, oh, what, are you going to take that from this punk?
Like, they're like, oh, look, he's going to stand up for himself, and, like, kind of laughing, and then Tommy sits there just quietly, silently, which I knew something was going to happen. It's like, okay, Tommy's silent? Like, no. That guy talks a mile a minute.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, then just bam, 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 bam.
Boom, 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 shoots him,
dead. I'm like, what was that for? Like, that was so dumb.
I know. It's a lot. So, yeah, Spider gets killed, and it's just like, you really see the look on Henry's face of like, oh my gosh, you just killed that kid for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, just because he told you to go F yourself. Like, how many people have told you to go F yourself, Tommy?
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's definitely it's a dark movie.
Yeah, the content is, like, not my favorite. Like, I don't like those things, but it was a good movie.
It's very well made.
Yeah, it's a well-made movie.
What'd you think of the music? Because there's definitely, I think what's interesting about this movie, I don't think there's a score.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't a composer. All the music is actual songs from that time. That's what tells the story.
Yeah.
That's what gives the feel for each scene. So, like, when the movie starts in the 50s, it's all 50s music, then it's all 60s, 70s, rock.
It goes into the 80s, right?
I think it goes into 1980.
At the end.
Yeah. Like, the very end of the movie takes place in 1980, 10 years prior to when the movie was made.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I thought they picked good music for it. Mm-hmm. Definitely helped tell the story.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, it's just, like, a lot of crazy stuff happens.
I know, it's a wacky time.
It's a wacky world.
It's a wacky world.
Not really. It's a really messed up world.
It's messed up.
That's the thing. It's, like, this movie really portrays, like, the glamorous stuff of the gangster life. But, like, if you actually ever listen to interviews with, like, guys who were gangsters, like Goodfellas, like, these guys, they were like, it was horrible.
I know. It's like, why do it?
Because a lot of the times you just kind of had to, like, sit around at your boss's place and wait for him to give you a command. Like, you couldn't just, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, you couldn't just live your life. You were kind of just, like, on call 24/7 of, like, hey, something needs done. You got to go. And, like, they said it was, like, terrible. And, of course, like, yeah, you got to, like, go kill people and all this. And I like how there's a lot of lines in this movie that say, like, oh, it's not like in the movies, but this is a movie. But I think it's kind of funny how...
Yeah, kind of ironic.
But it's like your killers, he says, like, your killers never come as, like, you know, like, hitmen. It's always, like, your friends, people you've trusted your whole life.
Yeah.
They'll get them to, like, kill you.
Right.
Which is even more messed up.
Yeah.
I think the part that I always think is really dark is when... So at the end of the movie, Henry's, like, going to be put on trial for, like, drugs and all this stuff because he ends up getting into that business after he goes to jail and all this stuff. So when Karen tries to go visit Jimmy, it's kind of alluded to that Jimmy was going to, like, have her killed.
Yeah, why?
Probably
to shut her up because he was...
To shut Henry up or to, like, really, I don't know.
Because he's a very paranoid guy.
Uh-huh. But probably, yeah, he was super paranoid.
Because he was offing everybody part of the Lufthansa
heist, yeah.
Yeah.
He kills everyone, which is a great sequence, too. You got the piano outro from Layla, and then you're seeing, like, all the bodies, and, like, you find the one guy in the meat truck frozen solid. And,
So it's crazy.
Yeah. But, yeah, he, like, wants her to go into, like, a corner store.
He's like, oh, yeah, I've got nice clothes you can pick out for your mother, and it's over there around, and I'm like, you're acting real shady, Jimmy.
Yeah. And then she goes in there, and well, she doesn't go in there, sorry.
She peers around and she sees these obviously creepy guys, and it's obviously not like a normal store, and she's like, you know, that's okay, Jimmy, I gotta go, and you know, freaking out.
Yeah. Which you see that look on her face when she's, like, about to pull away, like, Jimmy was going to try to have me killed.
Yeah.
Jimmy, who I've trusted my whole life, I've considered one of my best friends, was just going to try to have me killed.
Yeah, not her whole life, but who she's...
Not her whole life, but, like, like, her most recent years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of, like...
Ever since she's been with
exactly.
Henry, yeah.
It's so messed up.
I know. That whole movie's messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what happened. It's a great movie, like, it's filmed
so
very well, but the content is messed up.
I think a lot of people consider it Scorsese's best film ever.
I could see why.
I could see it. It's definitely one of, like, you can easily go
I think
back
it's just
to it.
really thought out, and he seems like he definitely put in the research and time into that, and got a lot of firsthand, you know, insights, so I think it paid off for him.
I think personally I really like The Departed more, but that's just my opinion. But I still think this is a great movie.
Yeah.
Like, this is a classic. Mm-hmm. Well, babe, what are we going to do for the next episode?
Oh.
Have you thought about it?
That's a great question. Everything's been happening. I haven't even thought about what what to do.
Mm-mm.
I'd have to think about it.
Okay. We'll make this next one a surprise.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you want to sign us off then?
All right, you guys, you know the drill. You can find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can send us a like or a request at our Instagram page, Don't Yuck My Yum Pod, or send us an email at don'tyuckmyyumpod@gmail.com.
That's right.
Letting us know what you think, if you have any suggestions, or want us to review something that you love or hate, and we'd be happy to do so.
We would. We'll crap on your thing that you love.
No, we won't. Well, unless it's just really bad.
Or if you hate something and then we end up loving it, we'll be like, why do you hate this?
Why do you hate this?
Idiot.
Well, thank you guys for listening to another episode of Don't Yuck My Yum with us, and we will see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.